Hello world, you here? And this is checkpoint 3 of the Python from 0 to 1 series. So here, we are going to attempt and practice a few questions relating to for loops and while loops. So firstly, using a for loop, print the numbers 90 to 100 in increments of 1. So in other words, 90, 91, 92, and all the way until 100. Try this also using a while loop. And for our second question, using a for loop, print the numbers 1000 to 5000 in increments of 1000, which means it goes 1000, 2000, 3000, 4000, then 5000. So try this also using a while loop. For our third practice question, using a for loop, print the numbers 20, 10, 0, minus 10, and minus 20. Try this also using a while loop. And for our final question, using a for loop, print all multiples of 3 or 5 between 1 and 100. So here, if a number is divisible by either 3 or 5, we print it. So do pause this video and take a while to give these practice questions a try before taking a look at the answer. So for our first question, using a for loop, print the numbers 90 to 100 in increments of 1. So let's try to do this using our for loop first. So for, let's just use I in range. And here, because we start at 90, our start variable will be 90. So here, remember that if we put 100 itself will not be included. So in order to print up till 100, we need to increase this by 1 and we need to put 101. So here, our increment is 1, so we don't have to put anything for our step variable. And if we print I, we will get 90, 91, 92, and all the way until 100. So now, let's try this using a while loop. So let's comment this. So for a while loop, we need to create an extra variable. So n is equals to 90 because we want to start at 90. Next, while n is less than equals to 100, because we want to stop at 100, we print n. And at every step, we have to increment n by 1. So n plus equals to 1. And if we run this, we will get 90, 91, 92, and all the way until 100. So alternatively, let's comment this out first. We can do it using while true. So here n is equals to 90, and while true, print n, and n plus equals to 1. However, if we don't put any conditional break statement here, we will get an infinite while loop. So because of that, we need to put a conditional break statement. So I'm just going to put it here. So if n is more than equals to 100, I'm going to break. And if I run this, I'm going to get 90, 91, 92, and all the way until 100. So for the while loop part, you can either choose to write it this way or this way. Both ways are correct and it's up to your preference. For question 2, using a for loop, print the numbers 1000 to 5000 in increments of 1000. So first, let's try doing this using a for loop. So similarly, for I in range, and because here we want to start at 1000, we simply type in 1000. And next, we want to end at 5000. So here, we have to put a number that is slightly larger than 5000. So here, I'm going to put 5001. However, if I use this for loop currently, I'm going to get 1000, 1001, 1002, 1003, all the way until 5000, which is not really what I want, because I want my increments to be in thousands. As such, I'm going to add another 1000 here as the step. So if I print, I will get the answer 1000, 2000, 3000, 4000, and 5000. So here, notice that I put 5001. So if I choose to put 6000, this will still work as per normal. And if I choose to put, let's say, 5002 instead of 5001, this will still work as per normal. However, for consistency's sake, I'm just going to put 5001. So here, let's comment out our for loop, and let's try to write this using a while loop. So similarly, we start with a variable, so n is equals to 1000. Next, we write our while loop, so while n is less than equals to 5,000, we are going to print n, and at every step we need to add 1,000 to n. So this is the increment that we need. And if we run this, we will get 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, and 5,000. So similarly, we can write our while loop using a while true tool. So n is equals to 1,000, and while true, print n, and n plus equals to 1,000. So here we can write our break statement. So if n is more than equals to 5,000, we will break. And if I run this once again, we will get the same result: 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, and 5,000. For our third practice question, using a for loop, we print the numbers 20, 10, 0, -10, and -20. So let's try this first using a for loop. So for I in range, so here we want to start at 20 and end at -20. So let's settle the start first. So 20, and here we put -21, because -20 will be included in this case. However, note that we are actually decrementing in 10. So our step needs to be -10. And let's test this out first. And if we run this, we will get the answer: 20, 10, 0, -10, and -20. So here, let's comment this out, and let's try to write this using a while loop. Similarly, n is equals to 20, which is the number that we want to start with. So while n is larger or equals to -20, we print n. And next, we need to decrement n so that it will eventually be less than -20. So n minus equals to 10. And so if we run this, we will get the same answer: 20, 10, 0, -10, and -20. So in this case, if you choose to write it like that, plus equals to -10, we will still get the same result. So this is entirely up to your preference, but for me, I prefer to minus equals to 10. So here, I'm going to comment this out, and let's try to solve this using the while true loop. So n is equals to 20, and while true, print n, and n minus equals to 10. So similarly, I need to write a conditional break statement. If not, I'm going to have an infinite while loop. So here, if n is less than equals to -20, I'm going to break and get out of my while loop. So if I run this, I'm going to get the same answer. So 20, 10, 0, -10, and -20. So here for question 4, using a for loop, print all multiples of 3 or 5 between 1 and 100. So maybe let's list the first few numbers that we will want to print. So here we are going to have 3, 5, 6, 9, 10, 12, 15, and so on. So here, notice that from 3 to 5, we plus 2, and from 5 to 6, we plus 1. From 6 to 9, we plus 3, from 9 to 10, we plus 1, and so on. So here, we cannot solve this using a super basic for loop. In fact, we need to have a for loop with conditional statements inside. So firstly, let's try to generate all the numbers between 1 and 100. So here, for I in range 1 to 101, because we want 100 to be included here. So I'm just going to print I, comma, n is equals to white space. So if I do this, we will get this output. So whatever is printed afterwards will appear on the right side so that we don't have to scroll too much. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 100. However, this is not what we want yet, as we only want the multiples of 3 or 5. So our print statement will need to be in a if block. So if I modulo 3 is equal to 0, so right now we are only getting all the multiples of 3. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, and all the way. However, we also need to check whether it is a multiple of 5. So we use OR here. I modulo 5 is equals to 0. And if we run this once again, we will get 3, 5, 6, 9, 10, 12, 15, and so on. So all of these are actually multiples of either 3 or 5. So thanks for watching, and hopefully this was clear and easy to understand. See you in the next one.